Walking in Another World, Chapter 337, Battle, Part 1. We arrive at a very green garden. It's the place I saw from the hall in the castle. It's quiet around here, but I can hear the sounds of metal clashing and explosions in the distance. What do we do? Asks Sarah while looking towards where the sounds are coming from. We didn't walk around the castle too much when we were here before, so I don't know my way around. I ask the others, and they all say they don't know either. There were rooms not shown on map 2. The large throne room where we met Eris was one of them. But if those noises are from a defensive battle, I assume they're coming from the direction of the entrance. If there are demons there, maybe we can ask them. If we know them, of course. We could look around too, but I really want to check who they're fighting. Let's check it first. If there are demons there, we might be able to talk. If they're fighting, I think it's safe to assume it's the party that's here to defeat the Demon King. Kotori holds her staff tightly. It's highly likely that the people coming here to fight are the ones that were summoned with us. If they're being manipulated by Lazier, we might not be able to avoid fighting them. We start moving fast while being cautious of our surroundings, and I see it. There are broken stone statues on the floor, and people too. Some show reactions, others don't. I can still hear the sounds of intense sword clashes, and magic being thrown both ways. Let's help the ones we can. Only demons? Yes, the others, after we hear what's going on. I answer Mia's question after thinking for a second. We need information about Chris. Even after getting inside the barrier around the castle, I still can't see her reaction on map. I can only hope she's in one of the places it doesn't show. We split into two groups, and cast heal on the wounded demons. At first I wonder if it will even work, but the demon recovers without any issues. The demon is surprised to be saved by a human and looks cautious, but soon sees Kotori and relaxes. That reaction makes me wonder if Mia is alright, but the demon she's healing knows her, so it's fine. Why are you here? We're looking for one of our Eris' sister. Did you see her? Ah, our lord's sister. She should be in the castle. The demon is looking towards a destroyed door. Some have already made it inside. The higher ranks like Mr. Agnes are here, so I think it will be alright, but I think those were heroes. The demon says the heroes broke through from the front, and Chris went inside after them. The demons also went after the ones who got inside, but knights got in the way, and the demons were defeated by a pincer attack. Apparently they don't know where those knights are now. I think about what to do next, and use parallel thinking to check the situation around us. Things are balanced over here for now, but enemies are going to keep pressing in. I don't know how strong the heroes are, but if the others break through here, things might get even worse. These are potions. Sorry, but use them on the ones that can still breathe. Why yes, I got it. Sorry Hikari, but please go too. She nods, and takes off running. What about us? Asks Kotori. We'll talk after meeting up with Mia and the others. We give potions to the demon Mia healed too, and tell them Chris is already in the castle, and so are the heroes. Then we need to hurry, says Ruruka, sounding like a shriek. But it's dangerous to leave things like this. Me and Hikari will hold the enemies here. You go after Chris. I'm staying too. You might need a healer. Mia is right, but I'm more worried about Chris. I'd feel better if there was someone who could use holy magic if necessary. Stay here, Mia. We have potions, and if anything happened with Chris, we can bring her here. Sarah throws me a bone when I can't decide what to do. Yes, and if we can heal the wounded here, we can end this battle faster. It's actually not safe to split up like this, but we have to find Chris. Although if they get through here, the damage is going to spread even more. It would be better if Kotori stayed here to use her spirit magic, but I don't think she can attack other people. And Kotori, if it looks like you can talk the heroes down, please try. I say, although I don't think it will work. It would be tough for Kotori to stay here and fight people, but if she has a reason to go with the others, that will make things easier for her. Yes, got it. I send the canine Gilliam with them too, mostly for Kotori. After seeing the others enter the castle safely, I meet up with Hikari, and then we split up again to treat the wounded. The demons are stronger when it comes to raw power, but the other side is more coordinated. Furthermore, demons are pulling back, but on the other side, as people pull back, more and more keep coming to reinforce them, so the situation is gradually getting worse. But if we can treat the demons that couldn't fight anymore, they should start pushing them. Master, there. Just as we're done treating them and almost ready to go after the others, a group comes out of the forest. They appeared from a different place compared to the rest, and are attacking the demons. They're mostly wearing black, and a lot are wearing masks I recognize. Slave masks. That's Elysia's army, no doubt about it. Most of them have hair the same color as their outfits, black. Can you fight, Hikari? Leave it to me. If she couldn't, I'd send her after Rurika and the others first, but Hikari answers firmly. I run to the back row of the demons, and join the defensive battle. Walking in Another World, Chapter 338, Battle, Part 2. The reason why I approached the back row of the demons was to ask them to guard Mia. There are demons among them who were saved by her, so it goes smoothly, and I start chanting Area of Effect magic and move to take down the spies of that special unit of Elysia. Other people attacking from the army to hunt the Demon King? I think they would retreat before they were all wiped out, after seeing the tide turn against them. But I'm not so sure about these spies. In a way, I'd expect them to fight until the last. That reminds me of when Shiuza self-destructed. They use Otherworlder blood to create strong people, but they treat them very roughly. It wouldn't surprise me if the higher-ups of Elysia, like the king, didn't see Otherworlders as humans like them, or even people, like they're just disposable items. And I can't ignore how threatening their strength is. They were taken by surprise, but even the demons had their momentum stalled, and are on the defensive. I'm coming to help. Hikari, this way, I say as I throw a knife at the one trying to attack her. Being a good fighter means this person dodged with the least effort possible, but that was a bad move. The moment the dodged knife passes by, it explodes and the spy is blown away. I keep throwing knives, but now they're cautious, and take big steps back. In the meantime, I tell the demons about Hikari and that she's with me. Some already know her, and some don't know either of us. If we just kept fighting like this, they might have mistaken her for an enemy and attacked her. Especially considering her black hair and eyes. We cooperate with the demons, and face the enemy. Now that I think about it, they all have one horn. They all have good physical abilities and are good fighters, but not overwhelmingly so. One member of the army is even fighting them on even grounds. It gets me wondering if said member is the abnormal one here, and when I cast appraisal, I'm surprised by the high level I see. It's in the 90s. Is that one of the rumored S-rank adventurers? He's wearing light armor, and doesn't look like a knight. There's a group in that army wearing matching armor, so they're knights. I think I remember seeing that somewhere. I'm checking the battlefield around me while fighting the spies. By using parallel thinking, I throw magic-infused knives where the demons are being pushed back, and before I know it, I'm being targeted. A human helping demons? Who the hell are you? A knight holding a shield charges at me. That armor really does look familiar. I remember. I saw it in the castle in Elysia. I infuse my mithril sword with magic energy, and cut down both the shield and the knight. I couldn't help but put some strengths into it. The other knights see this and stop, before rushing to put some distance between us. You, that hair and eye color. I remember your face. You're that Otherworlder. I guess some of them were there. He just called me Otherworlder. What if I am? Why are you siding with demons? And that girl too? It's your duty to join us and defeat the Demon King. I don't know what to say to that arrogance. You're the ones who chased me away in the first place. There's no point in saying any more, so I fire Area of Effect magic. I activate Firestorm, and then Tornado to amplify the damage. First the flames go up in a pillar, but then they spread sideways and engulf the knights. A burning smell fills the air, and I hear screams. Some perceptive, no, lucky ones escape harm, but that took down almost 70% of the knights. The ones that are left see this situation, and retreat from the battle line. The one that yelled at me, and seems to be their leader, tries to stop them, but almost 20% ignore his commands. I'm about to use that opportunity to attack, but just before I can, I stop and jump back. And then, exactly where I was, a blade is swung down. It's the man with the level in the 90s that was fighting a demon. I peek towards where he was before, and the demon is down. Unfortunately, I don't feel his presence anymore. Name, Feld. Job, Adventurer. Level, 94. Race, human. Condition dash. A human helping demons. Losing your pride as a human puts you below a beast person. Feld yells and slashes at me. He's faster than the knights, but it's not like I can't handle it. I watch closely and deal with his attacks, and watch for opportunities to counter. Then I see the corners of his mouth twisting slightly. I sense danger, and don't step forward to attack like I was planning, and don't swing my sword. Immediately after, a blade passes right in front of my nose at an incredible speed. It's like he upped his speed with sword slash. I hear him clicking his tongue, and he stops for a moment, but he doesn't give me time to rest, and attacks me again after I take a step back. I keep blocking and evading like before, but since I don't know when he's going to hit me with that same fast slash again, I'm dragged into his pace. But that attack doesn't come. I observe him cautiously, and see his face gradually turning redder. Will he get tired if he keeps using that attack? Is that why he's not using it? I peek over at his status, and see he doesn't have a lot of MP and SP left, but they are gradually recovering while we fight. I match his attack and push him back with my sword, and then activate a barrier and step close to him. Now even if he uses that fast slash, I can block it. I swing my sword down, past Feld's sword as his movements get duller, and cut deeply into his body. Walking in Another World, Chapter 339, Battle, Part 3. And Mr. Feld is down, someone yells after seeing Feld kneel and fall limply on the ground. Those words quickly spread throughout the battlefield, and then another person retreats into the forest. I guess Feld was pretty prominent even in this army, so seeing him get cut down is making others run. Some try to rouse themselves and fight, but they're too few, and end up retreating too. But a certain group stays. The masked group Hikari is fighting. They're at a disadvantage, but they're not pulling back. Then another goes down, but the others keep attacking like they don't see it. But since the others are retreating, that leaves the demons who were fighting them free, and they all gather. The masked group is taken out even faster, and by the time only half are left, the corpses start exploding. Each explosion isn't that big, but when they blow up in a chain like this, it turns into a big explosion that swallows the demons. Hikari and a group of demons were too far forward for the explosions to hurt them, but the same can't be said for the ones near the corpses. And since the area behind Hikari and the others is wrapped in explosive fire, they can't retreat, and attacks are now being focused on them. We use water magic to put out the fire, and while that works, it also creates a haze that blocks my vision. Damn it, what do we do? Mumbles one of the demons, but I don't have an answer. I could use wind magic to blow it away, but I might just make it worse. After all, the haze is in the air because we put out the fire in the first place. Let's get back a little. The enemy might come from the haze, I say, and as the demons step back, I take a step forward. What are you doing? I'm charging in. I have a skill to look for enemies, so I'll know if they're close. Look after Mia. The shield I cast before is still active, and I can pick up reactions in the haze with map and figure out their positions. The thing I'm worried about the most is that there might still be corpses ready to explode, but I'll just have to hope that the shield can block that. I also see weak reactions that I have to help, so I have to hold back the urge to go to Hikari as quickly as possible, as I jump into the haze. For better or worse, a lot of them were close together, so after seeing that there are no reactions from enemies nearby, I go to the ones that are still alive to give them potions and cast heal. I tell the ones that can move to retreat, but they all say they want to go forward. They're worried about the ones that went ahead of them. I hesitate for a moment, but then I drink a mana potion and cast a shield on the survivors. That magic will block one attack, but move like it's not there. I don't go any further into it because I don't want to confuse them. We get through the haze, although some trip and fall because of the poor visibility, but we can't stop for them. Once we jump out of the haze, we see Hikari and the others completely on the defensive. I immediately take out knives and throw them. The knives pass behind the masked ones and activate various effects. Move back, says Hikari after seeing that, and the demons come this way while helping the ones that can't move on their own. Are you alright? I ask, and Hikari nods. But I can see cuts. Sorry little lady, you had to save me. Apparently Hikari was risking herself to save demons, and yet she still managed to avoid any fatal injuries. She's good. Anyway, heal with this. I give her a potion, and stop the masked ones that are coming near. At first there aren't enough of us and we're pushed back, but as the ones who recovered using potions finally make it past the haze and join us, we finally start pushing back. And then, I guess the masked group figures they're not going to get through us, and start retreating and disappearing into the forest. Are you alright? I ask Hikari, who is looking at the forest as the last person disappears. The way her hand is shaking tells me just how hard she's gripping that dagger. Yes, and I wanted to free them. Salvation through death is what it looks like Hikari is thinking. That way of thinking is sad, but we really don't have any other way to help them right now. What would happen to them if Alazia fell into ruin? They've received education that's pretty much brainwashing, and do as they're told like machines. Would removing those masks be enough? I remember Ignis saying something about it, but what was it? We take a big detour to avoid where the haze is coming from, and join Mia and the others. Walking in Another World, Chapter 340, Battle, Part 4, Kotori's Point of View. I've entered the castle with Rurika and Sarah. The heavy door was completely destroyed, and there are pieces of the stone statues on the floor too. I see a demon I recognize on the floor too, in a pool of blood. I shut my eyes without thinking, but he might still be breathing. I run over and check, but he's not. Kotori, are you alright? Asks Sarah, sounding worried, and I nod. That's a lie. I nodded because if I open my mouth, I might throw up. We keep following the destruction down the hall. The suits of armor that decorated the hall are on the ground, destroyed. That helmet was cut cleanly in half, and that armor has so many holes. I keep seeing sights like that here and there, but at least we haven't found any demons on the floor since the entrance. But this is awful, and proof that there was a battle. I just keep thinking about Ki. Was she here? It makes me feel happy thinking that she's alright. But what am I going to do when I see her? Am I going to fight alongside them? I can't. I know it now. The Demon King we were told about. Eris. And about the demons. They have blood coursing through their veins like us, and emotions like us. They're definitely not evil murderous weapons. Then there's the truth of this world that I heard from Sora, and what I learned in that jail. No matter how much I tried, I wouldn't be able to beat them. If there's such a thing as instinct, that's what Ip told me back then. It was pure fear. Something I didn't even feel when I was facing a dragon in the dungeon. Are you sure you're all right, Kotori? You look pale, asks Rurika, also sounding worried, as we walk forward with caution. Do I really look that bad? It'd be easy to tell if I had a hand mirror or a phone, but those aren't exactly easy to find in this world. Well, the mirror can be bought if you have the money. Why yes, I'm fine. Let's keep going, I say as I grip my staff tightly to rouse myself. I understand if you're getting restless, but we have to hurry. We might bump into the enemy. Rurika is right. Actually, I can really feel how they're holding back from rushing forward. They're worried about Chris. I might be holding them back. Anyway, we know we have to go to Eris, so we're heading to the throne room. I didn't feel it before, but now that I'm heading straight to the throne room, I really get a feel for how complicated the route is. Is it also a measure to deter invaders? I can't really remember, but I think. Is this the right way? Yes, we passed through it a few times, right Kotori? Rurika says with full confidence, and I look away. What great memory. She's going forward without any hesitation. I peek over at Sarah, and when our eyes meet, she looks away. We're the same. Yes, it's pretty complicated, so it's hard to know for sure. We just have to follow Rurika. We're cautious as we advance, but we don't find anyone. On our way to the throne room, the door is wide open. There are no signs that there was a battle in front of the throne room, and the statues of armor and monsters are unharmed. We step forward, and hear a noise. We all look at each other, and run to the door to peek inside. Rurika makes a quiet noise. We see Chris and a few demons, and at their feet. I almost puke. That was a person. It's mangled flesh. I can tell from here that Chris' face looks pale. Are you alright? I'm asked again. I take a deep breath to calm down, and this time, really look where the noise came from. I see two faces I recognize, Shun and Nato, and one more. It looks like Ki's figure, but I'm shocked when I see her from the side. Is that a mask? It looks like one of the slave masks Sora told me about. The battle continues, ignoring my confusion. But can it even be called a battle? Shun and the others are much stronger than me, but Ignis deals with them like they're kids. The gap between them is very clear. And just as they're starting to show their exhaustion, Ignis, who was on the defensive this whole time, goes on the offense, and finishes it quickly. Walking in Another World, Chapter 341, Battle, Part 5, A Certain Adventurer's Point of View. The quest we accepted was about taking the heroes to the Demon King. We had been working in the fortress city for a long time, because we accepted a designated quest, when we received a new request. I honestly thought it was a pain, but the reward being offered got my fellow party members excited, and we ended up accepting it by majority vote. There was also the fact that they accepted a lot of our requests in the fortress city too. Apparently their expectations in terms of rewards had been growing. To be honest, I heard rumors about demons being strong, but only from low ranks. Some said demons were absolute monsters too, but I was pretty confident we could shove our feet up those so-called monsters too. That's just what S-ranked adventurers are like. We were a party of 7. But if we combined our strengths, we could even hunt a dragon. We actually did beat an earth dragon in the Empire's dungeon. When I first met them, I just thought they looked so young, but once we faced off, I thought, is this the power of heroes? The youngest boy talked and acted weird, and felt like he was all talk. As for the tall man with the gaudy head, I felt more power coming from the sword hanging from his waist. Some of my party members had their eyes light up when they looked at him, and I really didn't want them to start any weird trouble. The one that creeped me out the most was the woman in armor. I couldn't tell what her face was like because she was wearing a mask, but she moved without a single wasted movement, and there were no openings in her posture. I wasn't too happy with my fellow party member whistling at her nice figure either, but we just had different sensibilities. Seriously, so many people from the Empire of Ulga. There was no denying their power though, and when a battle started, I felt like I could count on them. Afterwards, we moved out as a detached force, and entered the Dark Forest. The main force was drawing monsters to them, but suffice to say, not all of them. We ended up encountering and taking down monsters a few times. Some of them were superior species too, and when I let some monsters reach the heroes to test their strength, they didn't disappoint. The gaudy-headed man and the woman honestly felt like they were as strong as us, or more. Especially the man. Nato, I think. The moment he drew his sword, it was like he changed into a different person. The woman didn't say a single word unless she had to, and kept killing monsters. The way she handled her spear made me tremble a little. The same went for the rest of my party. We watched how they fought closely. The knights accompanying us complained about us causing the heroes trouble, but it was important to test how strong they were. This repeated a few more times as we went through the Dark Forest, until we finally reached our goal, the Demon King's castle. Apparently the main force was pretty close too, but they were acting as a diversion. First they attacked the Demon King's castle, and after some time, we would snuck in. That was when I got to see demons fight from afar. They didn't seem all that threatening. Oh, there was an S-ranked adventurer from the Empire that worked alone. I forgot his name, but he was pretty good. Watching him run wild confirmed to me that demons really weren't that big a deal. But then, one of the heroes, a boy, surprised me by running towards the demons. I rushed to stop him, but when I saw his eyes as he glared at a demon, I gulped. How long had it been since I saw so much bloodlust in someone's eyes? After some trouble, we managed to get near the castle. There was a scuffle with demons who noticed us and ran towards us, and golems, I guess. The statues near the entrance suddenly started moving. Both the heroes and my party were fine, but some of the knights were brought down by the demons. The surviving knights left the wounded to face the other demons that were coming our way, and we used that opportunity to sneak inside. The suits of armor decorating the halls also attacked, but they weren't any match for us. Are you sure this is the way? I asked the man named Nato, who was walking forward with no hesitation. He said his sword told him where the Demon King was. We all looked at each other, but decided to trust him. I still don't exactly know why though. But just as he said, he took us to the Demon King. In the hall before the room where the Demon King was, there were golems, armor, and other strange things. They didn't move when we opened the door, but we stayed cautious. Once we got in, we saw a throne where a woman sat, and demons round her. I was charmed for a moment, thinking, is that really the Demon King? But the ones from the Empire laughed with scorn when they saw her. I saw her pointy ears, which was a peculiarity of elves that I read about. So the Demon King is an elf? I thought, and the heroes moved out. We rushed after them. But what followed was hell. One of the demons took on the heroes, who could do nothing against his overwhelming power. My party members yelled about them being soft and rushed to help. But we were blocked by other demons. We thought we'd beat them quickly like before. But one, and then another one of ours went down. They were so much stronger than the demons outside. There were still some demons in the back who did not move, but we were all ready. That was when we realized how much we underestimated the power of demons. What do we do? I heard an irritated voice, but had no time to respond. Another one of ours went down, leaving 4. I realized that my partners were agitated, and already making plans to abandon the heroes and flee. We'd been working together for a long time. I was thinking the same thing too. But then, something happened that changed the battle a lot. Through the same entrance we used, a girl appeared. The demons fighting us looked surprised, and stopped fighting. We couldn't use that opening to take them down, but we did manage to retreat. And that was when I managed to get a good look at the girl. An elf? Yes, she was an elf. I wondered if she was related to the Demon King. The fact that a second elf appeared in such a short amount of time, even though I had never seen one before, made me wonder. And I wasn't the only one. A member of my party quickly ran to her. A demon gave chase, but I blocked him. He was flustered, because his attacks lacked the precision from before. Finally, my fellow party member grabbed the elf girl, and twisted her arm behind her back to restrain her. The girl yelled, and my partner's head flew. Someone yelled. Next to the girl, stood the demon that was fighting the heroes. When I turned to the heroes, I saw them all on the floor. And when I turned back to the demon, I felt something cold on my back, and an indescribable fear. We probably did something we shouldn't have. The moment I thought that, I felt pain in my abdomen, and my consciousness sunk into an abyss. Walking in Another World, Chapter 342, Descent, Part 1. By the time we arrive, it's already over. The invaders have all been neutralized. Are those 3 of the people that were summoned with me? They've been detained, and the others killed. I look at the throne, and see Chris along with others, and breathe a sigh of relief. Kotri, on the other hand, is standing next to the 3 that were detained, with a gloomy expression on her face. What's wrong? Well, when I turn my eyes to Kotri, I also see a face I recognize, or rather, a mask I recognize. Appraisal confirms that it's a slave mask. Hikari clenches her fists tightly, and I pat her head lightly while looking at the other 2. I honestly don't remember them very well, but appraisal tells me they're otherworlders. Sora, can't we do anything about it? Kotri asks about the slave mask. Ignis once told me that it's possible to remove it by force, but it's risky. Back when Hikari was the one wearing it, I didn't have much choice. Noto reacts to Kotri's voice, and his eyes feel earnest somehow. According to Kotri, those 2 had a senior and junior relationship in a company in the old world. I try casting recovery, knowing it probably won't work, and unfortunately, there's no effect. It's a spell to cure status ailments, but it's something to be used on people, not objects. Do we have to go to Elizia to either find someone to remove it, or kill the one who put it on? The kingdom does seem like our best bet, but I don't think we can do anything about it here. Do you know who put this on her? Noto says number. In fact, when I ask him why she's wearing the mask in the first place, he says she was injured when demons attacked, and she was already wearing it when they met up again to join this battle. They did ask about it then, but were told that it's a magic item to boost physical abilities. I guess we still need to go to Elizia. Does that mean we'll be officially joining the demons against mankind? The real issue is that I think we'll have to do something about that kingdom, especially since once they know they've failed to defeat the Demon King, they're going to perform a summoning again, which means more victims. Ignis, what do you demons do when you beat back heroes? We also suffer losses, so we prioritize getting back on our feet. But this time, the other side hasn't yet learned that the hunters failed. Why? Because the heroes aren't dead. Ignis says that when the heroes are dead, the Holy Sword transports itself back to where it came from. That's why they didn't kill the heroes. So you bought some time. Also, apparently humanity was too weak this time, so they suffered less damage than usual. There are quite a few dead demons outside, but it's still less than usual. Anyway, put these heroes in jail. We will need to work out a plan, says Ignis, but something feels off. It feels like he's putting on airs, but it really is just a feeling. Can we talk? Mia comes over while I talk to Ignis. Is everything all right over there? Yes, Chris isn't really hurt, and the demons here are all in perfect health, says Mia with a smile, who apparently didn't get to do anything. I guess the demons guarding the Demon King are in that position for a reason. Now that I think about it, all the demons here except to have 2 horns. The ones outside all had 1. Could it be that the more horns they have, the stronger they are? Sora, About that mask. The slave mask? Yes, there were people wearing them in the ruins, and outside here too, right? Looking at it more closely, it really does give me a bad feeling. It makes sense, because it's a cursed item in a way. Not to mention that Mia can use holy magic, and more importantly, she's a saint. I tend to forget that. But we can't take it off forcibly, so there's nothing we can do right now. Are you sure that's all right? I turn to Hikari, but I don't even know if wearing it for a long time causes harm. I look at Ignis like I'm asking for help, but it feels like he doesn't care. Wait, no, I get the feeling that he's on alert. But what is he being so cautious about? I don't know either, to be honest. We might have to go to Elazia to look for clues. Yes, Sora, I have a spell I want to try. Can I? Says Mia, and she approaches Kt before I can even answer. On the way she peeks at Ignis, looks at the holy sword on the ground near Naoto, and then looks at Kt. See, can you help her? Yells Naoto, and Mia turns back to me with a troubled look on her face. Is she wondering what to say, because she doesn't know if it will work either? I don't know, but maybe, is all Mia says, before she silently raises her hand. A minute passes, then another. I see her gulping, and finally, I see magic energy fluctuating. Then Mia says something, but I can't understand it. That's a first. All this time, everything I read or heard was translated automatically, but I didn't understand a thing Mia said. Is it because it's magic I can't use? No, it can't be. When Chris uses spirit magic, I can understand the words she says, even if I don't know exactly what it means. Those thoughts are interrupted by a loud, cracking sound. I turn to where the sound came from, and see the slave mask splitting in two, and literally vanishing before hitting the ground. Senpai. Naoto yells as he tries to approach the woman, despite his restraints, but my eyes are now fixated on Mia. Mia's body is radiating light, and covered in magic energy that's practically overflowing. Walking in Another World, Chapter 343, Descent, Part 2. Mia's point of view. Thank goodness. I almost start tearing up when I see it. She's the Demon King, but she does have emotions. They seem to be holding back somehow, but now they're holding each other, and look happy. I also notice that Eris has tears in her eyes. I'm a little far, but it doesn't look like Chris is hurt. As for the others, I turn towards the demons, and see a lump of cut flesh. That sort of thing would have instantly made me turn away before, but now I feel like I'm used to it. Is that actually a good thing? Well, it means I've become stronger. I didn't become thick-skinned or anything, right? Thinking back, a lot has happened since I ran from the Holy Kingdom of Freya. I've walked through forests, explored a dungeon, and that's to say nothing of the monsters I've fought. All of that would be unthinkable back in the Holy City. I think I've gotten pretty good at using holy magic too. According to Sora, that's because I'm growing as I defeat monsters, but I think it comes from practicing magic energy control. Before I started practicing, I would always use the same amount of magic energy when healing a wound, regardless of how big or small it was. Now I can check the condition of the wound, and adjust my magic energy accordingly. That also means I can use magic more times, and of course, I had to cast heal many times before reaching this point. Oh? But I get the feeling that I've used my magic way more on other people than on my fellow party members. Am I mistaken? Anyway, because of that, my holy magic has evolved a lot, and I've been using it a lot because of this attack by the army that came to take down the Demon King. Still, I did have a problem with healing people, only for them to charge forward and come back wounded again. But I get that they did it because they really want to protect Eris, so I healed them without complaining. I'm getting off track. It looks like there was a fierce battle here too, but did anyone get hurt? Is everyone unharmed? Sora said strong people were heading this way, but apparently people here are stronger. I'm left with nothing to do, so I walk towards Sora. As I get closer, I feel a tense atmosphere in the air. I hear Sora and Kotri talking, and it sounds like these three were summoned to this world along with Sora. One doesn't have black hair, but the eyes. The two not wearing a mask have black hair. Now that I think about it, Sora used a medicine to change hair color, so that might be what is going on here too. Can we talk? I wait for there to be a pause in the conversation, and jump in. I tell them Chris and the others are all right, and ask what is troubling them. I don't think I'll be able to solve something if Sora can't, but maybe I can help somehow. I turn to the other three, and recognize the mask. It's the one I saw in the Republic of Eldo. I saw it on one of the attackers here too. No, it looks like Sora's mask. The big difference is that I never got this sinister feeling from Sora's mask. Could it be that I never felt this because I never got this close to one of these? I feel restless, and a shiver running down my spine just looking at it. But why can't I look away, even though I get a bad feeling from it? I keep looking, and then hear something inside my head. You can free her. You already know the technique. It's a kind voice that sounds like it's speaking directly to my head. I feel like I've heard this voice somewhere before, a long time ago. But where? Yes, Sora, I have a spell I want to try. Can I ask, even though I don't know if that was my intent. I feel fuzzy, like there's a fog in my head, and my consciousness is gradually becoming more unclear. For some reason, I look at Ignis, and then at the sword on the ground next to one of the heroes. I feel holy waves pulsating from it, and it gives me a strange feeling. The man with the gaudy head talks to me, but I turn to Sora without thinking, before turning right back to the woman with the mask. Then I whisper something, and quietly raise my hand. I feel like magic energy is overflowing from my body, and the more it does, the more I feel like my consciousness is sinking. No, it's not sinking. Is it disappearing? Eventually, I start saying something. The mask breaks in half and slips off to the floor, and I feel like asking for help because of this indescribable dread I'm feeling. Then the mask disappears from my vision, and much the same way, so does my consciousness. Walking in Another World, Chapter 344, Descent, Part 3. I knew this would happen. I hear Ignis say, so I turn my attention from Mia to him just as he's grabbing his sword and stepping forward. Is he walking towards Mia? I'm too far away to reach her in time like this, so I draw my sword while casting a shield, and use transfer to fly between Ignis and Mia. I land right in front of Ignis, as he's swinging his sword down, and Mia is right behind me. There's no doubt that he's attacking her. The shield blocks the first attack, but it disappears. I just barely manage to block the attack that follows, and it's so heavy that it makes me gasp. That's when I look at Ignis, but he's not looking at me, even though I'm right in front of him. Why are you attacking Mia? I yell at Ignis, after somehow pushing him back. Adonis tried to kill Mia in the Holy Kingdom, but Mia said that Adonis apologized, and that when the other demons were angry at him. And yet, Ignis is trying to attack her. I keep a close eye on him, because I don't know what kind of attack will come next. He can use something like magic. I don't think he'll use something so big that it will damage the castle, but I'm sure he has attacks that target a single individual. I grip my sword tighter, but now that I'm facing him, I feel like something is clearly different compared to the first time we met. Back then, just standing in front of him made me feel an overwhelming sense of presence, like I was no match for him at all. But now, I don't have that same feeling of despair, but I can't see myself winning either. Not to mention that I don't really know what's going on. I look around and see Chris and the others with surprised expressions, but the demons look calm. Actually, they're holding their weapons and watching us with caution. Why did I attack? Simple. Killing that woman is what we have longed for all these long years, says Ignis, and my thoughts stop for a moment. What is he talking about? Killing Mia is. In the middle of my confusion, I hear something. Foo-foo. It sounds like a laugh, and it makes a chill run down my spine. I know I can't take my eyes off Ignis, but I reflexively turn around. I see Mia with her hand close to her mouth. Mia, right? She feels strange enough right now for me to question that. Yes, Mia is cute when she laughs, but now she feels less cute, and more bewitching, I guess. If our eyes meet, I feel like I'm going to get drawn in and won't be able to look away. But my body reacts in the opposite way, taking one, then another step back like I'm trying to run away from her. I manage to stop myself after the third step, but that's when someone passes by me. Ignis. He's already lunging forward, so I'm not going to make it in time even if I use transfer. But just as I'm about to cast a barrier in front of her, I notice that Mia is holding a sword. It's the sword that was on the floor. The fact that that takes my attention just makes me even more late. But just as I'm thinking that it's over, that clash ends in an unexpected way. Mia blocks Ignis' lunge with the flat of the sword she's holding. Not only that, but with enough speed and power that she does so easily. I'm speechless. It really isn't that easy to kill you. You attacked even though you knew. Foo-foo. You never change, Ignis, says Mia, but it's like someone else is speaking. Sora, cast appraisal and look at the girl. A voice echoes in my head, but I do as it says and cast appraisal on Mia before I can feel surprised. And what I see is name, Elizabeth, job dash, race, goddess, level dash, condition, possession. That face tells me you used appraisal. Mia. No, Elizabeth says with an amused face. It's like she's enjoying my reaction. Yes, that is the goddess. So she really did descend again this time. Fufu, you knew it, didn't you? It happened again and again so far. In fact, I thought it was strange that you didn't just get it over with right away. What is going on? I turned to Ignis, and Elizabeth, probably because she sees the confusion in my face, starts explaining with a nasty smile on hers. It's simple. You know the saint? She is the perfect vessel for me to descend upon this world. Of course it doesn't have to be a saint, but the quality would suffer otherwise. But I don't understand. Not only did you not kill the saint knowing full well that was the case, but you even arranged for her to be brought here. As I hear that, I remember when Ignis handed me the magic item to travel to the Demon King's castle. Is that why he did it? But Mia was here before too. Why didn't she descend then? If I'm thinking about what's here now that wasn't before. It's that sword Elizabeth is holding. The holy sword. Is that the key? What are you saying? It was you. You plotted to bring the saint here and adjusted everything accordingly. That's why we also prepared, to make sure the conditions were in our favor. Then, I feel an abnormal magic energy emanating from the four corners of the throne room. Walking in Another World, Chapter 345, Descent, Part 4. HN. This magic energy is overflowing from the four corners of the throne room, and the room is surrounded by what feels like a barrier. So you have noticed. We prepared this to kill you, says Zu suddenly, who has been silently watching this whole time. Having the strongest vessel means you can bring out your full power. But conversely, the stronger you are in this space, the more it weakens you. Fufu, so you thought of that. But can you kill this girl? My death means the death of this vessel. I feel like she's saying that not to Wu and the other demons, but to me. If you want to save the saint, kill the Demon King. I hear, and my eyes turn to Eris. I don't see any particular feelings on her face. But Chris is next to her with a worried expression on hers. No, it doesn't matter. The restrictions placed on me mean I can't do that anyway. It's all right. Those restrictions have been lifted. After all, that was a kind of curse. She says, like she knows what I'm thinking. I check my skills, and status ailment resistant cell V max effect, immunity to poison, paralysis, petrification, charm, and curses. Yes, I'm immune to curses. So does that mean it was lifted? But if those restrictions were a curse, I don't know why it didn't show as such on my status panel. I'm pretty sure that when Hikari hit me with a paralyzing attack, the paralysis showed on the panel. Then again, maybe it's a type of status ailment that doesn't show. Thinking back, this has to be why status ailment resistance's proficiency kept going up on its own. In that case, a scary thought pops into my head. If I don't have those restrictions, that means I can attack Eris. At this rate, I'm going to lose Mia and Eris. I can't put their lives on a scale. Chris would be heartbroken if she lost Eris. Just picturing her face makes me feel like my heart is being constricted. Give back big sister Mia. As I waver, someone attacks Elizabeth, Hikari. But even though Elizabeth's movements seem duller, Hikari's attacks don't work, and she's blown back by Elizabeth swinging her arm like she's wiping her away. Doll. Elizabeth looks at Hikari on the floor with a mocking smile. Normally I'd feel angry about a friend being attacked, but I'm not. No, I'm desperately holding it back. I'm angry at Elizabeth, but that's Mia's body. And even though I'm angry at Elizabeth, at the goddess for what she's done so far, my body won't move. And yet, when Ignis moves to attack her again, my body moves on its own to block the attack. Are you taking the goddess side? Asks Ignis, but I don't have a clear answer. What do I want to do? I want to save Mia. But I want to save Eris too. Is there a way to save both? If there is, I'll jump on it immediately. But unfortunately, there's no convenient solution like that, and I can't think of any way to save both. What I can do now, is do my best to block Ignis' attacks. Maybe I'm just struggling for nothing, but I can't stop either. And I know I can't keep this up for long either. Maybe I'm just trying to make excuses for myself, telling myself I did my best. I can feel my stamina being scrapped away with each attack. Sora, At this point I don't know what I'm doing anymore, or what I want to do, but then I hear a voice in my head that feels like it's disappearing. There's a nostalgic feeling to it, and I feel like it's the kind of gentle voice I want to hear the most right now. I want to know what it's saying, but when I try to listen more closely, all I hear is the echoing sound of swords clashing. I try to swing at Ignis to get that out of the way, but he easily dodges, and swings his sword hard from above. I block it by holding my sword with both hands. Sparks fly in front of me. I blocked the attack, but I'm being pushed back. My body won't hold, and I kneel, and when I look up, I see Ignis' face. I see something that feels like firm determination in his eyes. There is one way to save the saint. Will you listen? The voice echoes in my head again. It's the same that urged me to use appraisal before. If you can hear me, match my timing and swing your sword. 3, 2, 1. I let the voice guide me, and do a full swing with my sword. Walking in Another World, Chapter 346, Telepathy. It looks like you can hear me, Sora. Judging by the number of skills you have acquired, I assume you can learn skills by yourself. If so, pick up the telepathy skill. If you can do it, face me, and try talking to me in your head. If not, just attack. I hold up my sword, and look at Ignis with caution. Is this his voice? I don't know for sure, but I feel like I should follow what it says. On the other hand, it might also be a trap, so I can't let my guard down. I compose my breathing, and look for the telepathy skill with the help of parallel thinking. It's not easy because there's so many skills. If only I had a search function. Oh, there it is. Did I actually use some sort of search function Well, let's not think about it too much. New Telepathy LV1. Apparently this lets me talk without actually speaking, but it's very useful. How much like the other skills, I know how to use it the moment I learn it. I've learned it, but now what? More importantly, can I speak like this to others besides you, Ignis? Yes, if there is a path connecting you. But if the other person can't use telepathy, you won't hear their voice. Path. In human society it would be like what you call a slave contract, for example, but I assume few people know about it because few people can use the telepathy skill. Think of this as a remnant of the restrictions placed on you. Remnant? Then, does that mean Elizabeth was right, and those restrictions were lifted? I don't get a straight answer to that question, but apparently she really was telling the truth. Anyway, let's think of a way to save the saint. But we can't let the goddess find out, so we need to keep fighting while I explain, he says before attacking. I'll handle this. You kill the goddess. In the meantime, he also instructs the other demons to attack Elizabeth. I won't mince words. It is impossible to save the person carrying the goddess. I will say this up front, even if you kill the demon king, the goddess won't save the saint. But doesn't that mean you lied too? No, there is a way. We can bring her back to life after killing her. Did I tell you the way? I lock swords with Ignis, and remember that item. Elixir. Yes, it can bring the saint back to life. Are you saying there's elixir here? No, there is none. But as long as it exists in this world, it is a possibility. What is he talking about? Elixir's effect of bringing someone back from the dead only works if it's used right after death. That means it's meaningless then. That effect. I put my strength into my next attack and launch a critical hit without thinking. But even that is easily blocked. It's like he's playing with a kid. Yes, it has to be used right away. But what if you could preserve that person who died in their moment of death? Is that even possible? Of course it is. But you need the power of the Demon King. Ignis continues, answering the question that's in my mind. The Demon King formed contracts with not only fire, ice, wind, and earth spirits, but also with time and magic spirits. It's possible with the help of a time spirit. Those words shake me, and I'm slow to react with my sword. I managed to twist my body and avoid a direct hit, but Ignis' sword cuts my robe. If Ignis is right, it's Eris who has that power. But should I believe him? The demons would do anything to defend the Demon King. Answer me one thing. Why didn't you say anything about Mia, about the saint? What I said was one answer, but there is another reason. To protect the Demon King's relative. Chris. Yes. You know how cunning that goddess is, right? That terrible character of hers means she lives for people's hate, and to see them despair. That's why she would have guided her here anyway, even if you didn't bring her. And then she would have taken over her body and attacked the Demon King. I feel like there's emotion in Ignis' voice that I haven't felt from him before. Strangely enough, What he says makes me accept it. It reminds me of what Yutaka said, and what he and his friends did, and the frustration and exhaustion I saw in their faces when I saw those images. All right. Then what should I do? We will create an opening. Sora, use the god-killing blade to give the killing blow. But you need to get her trust first. Attack the Demon King once. As we fight, we discuss how to kill the goddess. Walking in Another World, Chapter 347, God-Killing Weapon, Part 3. Sera, can you hear me? If you can, raise the axe in your right hand a little. After talking it over with Ignis, I figured I should have the demons protecting Eris block a few of my attacks. But I'll have Sera help to make it seem more real. Sera is a good choice because we had a slave contract, so I check if my voice can reach her. And sure enough, as I fight Ignis, I can see Sera raising her axe a little. I'm going to attack Eris to get Elizabeth's trust. Sorry, but block it for me. I'm going to use transfer to fly right in front of Eris. And I also don't forget to ask her to blow me away to a certain spot when she blocks the attack. It's Sera, so it'll be fine. Surely. Here I go. I talk to Ignis and Sera through telepathy, and then shoot multiple fire arrows at Ignis from a close range. And then I use the light spell to make it hard to see. Ignis' movements become duller, so I knock him back, and throw knives at the demons attempting to attack Elizabeth. Ones that explode when they get close, of course. And then I run to Eris, without even checking if they worked. Demons block my way, and when I get ready to attack, they intercept me with their own attacks. I keep pushing forward, using transfer to fly in front of Eris when I feel like the attacks will hit me. Eris looks surprised, but I ignore it and attack. I just have to trust Sera, although I'm ready to stop my attack just in case she doesn't make it in time. But just as we planned, Sera gets away from Chris and the others, and runs after me quickly, before blocking my attack with the right axe and sending me flying with a blow from the left axe. My body is flowing, so I can't fend off the attack and it blows me away. As for pain, it looks like pain reduction is hard at work for the first time in a while. Then again, Sera didn't hit me hard. After rolling on the floor, I'm surrounded by a few demons. They're right in front of me, so I'm hidden from Eris and Elizabeth, but the demons' eyes look scary. Probably because they saw me attack Eris. I guess Ignis didn't tell them the plan beforehand. I think the only thing stopping them from attacking me, no questions asked, is that I came here with Chris, Eris' younger sister. So close. But Demon King, you better hold your friend's reins tightly. Or do you want your little sister to be the next Demon King? I can't tell what her expression looks like, but I can tell from her amused voice that Elizabeth is throwing a verbal attack at Eris. Ignis was right. Eris can't afford to do much, or it will affect Chris badly. I see, it's like she's a hostage. I take out the god-killing dagger from the item box, and it feels like the demons are even more on edge. I pretend not to notice that, and think back to the plan I heard from Ignis. Then, a question pops into my head. Elizabeth is possessing Mia, so basically, she's in a state where she's just a soul. If I used the god-killing dagger in this state, will it really kill her? If we ended up just beating her back, Elizabeth would probably try to kill Eris next. I don't know when it will be, but could we bring Mia back to life in the meantime? And if we did, would she get possessed again? And what if Elizabeth strikes back before we can bring Mia back, and Eris is killed? Would the time-stopping magic stop working? As I think to myself, concerns that didn't pop into my head when I was talking to Ignis start pouring in. Time stop. That makes me think of the effect of the maxed-out space-time magic. Ignis, tell me, what would happen to Eris' time-stopping magic if she happened to die? There's no response, but I can tell through presence detection that Ignis is attacking Elizabeth. I start thinking about the worst-case scenario, and if I can stop Mia's time without Eris' help, I could level up time magic. If I infuse the god-killing dagger with a time-stopping effect, maybe I could stop the time of the person stabbed with it. But this plan has a few problems. What if Mia's body is stopped in time, but Elizabeth stays inside it? And how long would the effect last? We might be able to stop Elizabeth in a seal of sorts like that, but it's not a real solution. And as for the time the effect would last, if it's like Hikari's dagger, the dagger would have to stay pierced in the body, rather than just cutting it. That means it would have to continuously receive magic energy. Thankfully, the god-killing dagger itself has magic energy, so I can use it to have it be self-sufficient. By using absorption, The dagger should be provided with the magic energy it needs to keep the effect active. Although I won't know if it will work until I try it. And so, I begin by raising space-time magic's level to 10 by using skill points. That leaves me with 31. This makes me want to max out transfer 2, but I'll leave that for another time. Then I move to infuse the god-killing dagger with time-stopping magic, but my hands stop. The magic fails. I use appraisal, and see that I need so much MP to do it, that even with MP consumption reduction, I'm nowhere close. I can't use time stop. After being hit with that reality, I just stand here, blankly looking at the result. Walking in Another World, Chapter 348, God-Killing Weapon, Part 4. I come back to my senses when I notice the eyes of the demons are on me. I guess I had a pretty bad look on my face, because the demons have all sorts of expressions on theirs that go from worry to suspicion. This is no time to zone out. If I can't use it, I just have to make it so I can use it. My first option is to raise the level of MP consumption reduction, but it's at level 7 now. I'd probably be able to use it if I raised it to level 10, but I'm 2 skill points short. Then I look for skills to increase the MP itself, but I don't find anything that matches what I want. Next, skills to convert HP or SP into MP. Convert. I see 3 listed: HP conversion, MP conversion, and SP conversion. HP conversion makes it so I use MP when I run out of HP, like it fills in for the amount I need but don't have. SP conversion does the same, but using HP for SP. I'm a bit scared to take this one. It might be useful to prevent having my mind get foggy when I run out of MP or SP, but what I need right now is MP conversion. This means I can basically combine MP and SP, doubling the MP. Now I can use time stop. New MP conversion. MP conversion makes it so SP is used when I run out of MP. And I can turn it on and off at will. I turn it on and attach the time stop effect to the god-killing dagger. I also attach absorption, and modify it so it uses the magic energy bursting out of the god-killing dagger itself. It feels less like attaching effects and more like using the creation skill, but it's done without any issues. God-killing weapon. Capable of piercing anything. Something pierced by this dagger will receive a time-stopping effect, is what appraisal says. Will this work? I use earth magic to write on the ground, and tell the demons the plan I heard from Ignis, and of course, I erase it right after they read it. I do this because I figure Elizabeth might hear me if I say it out loud. Next, I have to recover MP and SP. I lost HP when Sarah hit me, but that's been restored by this point. I drink a mana and a stamina potion, and use magic energy detection to check Elizabeth's body. Where should I attack? I'm using this to see if there are any weak points to the possessor, and I see strong magic energy around the chest, near the heart. There? I check again just in case, and see the same thing. I get up, with the mithril sword in my right hand, and the god-killing dagger in the left. The demons see me, hold their weapons ready, and open the path for me a little. Then I attack, just as planned, sending a demon, and then another flying not too hard. And once I'm no longer surrounded, I run towards Elizabeth. Are you ready? I say yes to Ignis' voice in my head, and throw knives at the demons. Attack Elizabeth to hold them back. And once I'm close enough, I block an attack from Ignis and push him back. Then a fierce sword fight ensues. It's my first time using parallel thinking to wield 2 blades, but I'm managing. And Ignis is also feeling threatened by the god-killing dagger, so it feels like he's more reluctant to attack. It feels like he wants to tell me not to use this in what's basically just acting, but I have to if we want to fool Elizabeth. And no, it's not like I hold any grudges over being manipulated. Still, it's hard to overcome the difference in raw power, and after pushing forward temporarily, I'm once again being pushed back gradually. The other demons come to support Ignis, but strangely, Elizabeth backs me up. I peek at her and see her attacking demons with a bored expression on her face, but I can see big beads of sweat on her forehead. At a glance it looks like she's fighting like it's no big deal. The time plus the special field made by you are sapping away her energy. That probably has to do with why she was provoking Eris earlier. But even still, she skillfully swings the holy sword and blocks every attack from the demons. Does she have experience using swords? She swings it so precisely, like a veteran warrior. Enough already, take this. Elizabeth swings the holy sword, and white slashes fly away, tracing the trajectory of the swings. They fly straight at the demons, and hit them directly. Some try to dodge, but the slashes follow them and change course the moment they dodge. Only Ignis and U block them. U also blocks the one headed for the Demon King with ease. At first I think that if she can do that, she should have just done it from the start, but then Elizabeth kneels. That technique must take a lot out of her. Ignis doesn't let this chance get away. I also figure I should move in, but my eyes meet Elizabeth's for a second, and stop me. Then I move quickly, to get in the way of Ignis. As he slashes at Elizabeth, he looks quizzical for a moment, but then looks behind me, and kicks me. Fly to the right. I do as he says, and use the kick to fly to the right, before the sword is swung where I was. She was definitely trying to cut Ignis down, not caring that she'd cut me down too, and because Ignis helped me, he's slow to deal with her, so I throw the god-killing dagger. Of course, it's headed towards Ignis, but my target is the holy sword. Just as the sword is about to catch Ignis, the god-killing dagger hits it, almost as if the sword was protecting Ignis from it. Sparks fly all over as the holy sword is repelled, pushing Elizabeth's body along with it. Ignis cuts at her again, but Elizabeth just barely makes it in time to use the holy sword as a shield. She manages to protect herself, but the impact sends her flying back. Meanwhile I use transfer to get behind her, and swing the mithril sword in my left hand. I knew you were up to something, but don't think this is enough to. My sword clashes with hers, and the mithril sword breaks. After breaking the mithril, the holy sword comes right at me. But this time Ignis blocks it. I put up a shield too, but it's not used. And then, I use transfer to pull the god-killing dagger to me, and this time, stab the now defenseless Elizabeth in the chest. Walking in Another World, Chapter 349. Descent, Part 5, Mia's point of view. What am I seeing? I know there is a battle going on in front of me. I know, the goddess that took over my body is fighting. I'm just watching, and hearing them talk like they aren't talking about me. I understand why Adonis tried to kill me. I exist to kill the Demon King, to kill Eris. I also understand why they didn't try to harm me when I came here, even though Adonis tried to kill me before. The demon Kuldu told me that I need to be alive for them to kill the goddess. I feel like my body has become duller, but that isn't stopping the goddess. Actually, I get the feeling that she's having fun. It feels like she's upset, but deep down, she's enjoying herself. And then, Hikari lunges this way in anger. Dol! The goddess swings her arm, and Hikari is flung away very fast and bounces on the ground. She stops when she hits a wall. But is she alright? She's not moving. I'm trying to scream, but my voice doesn't come out. What should I do? All I am is my consciousness now, so there's nothing I can do. I'm just being forced to see what's happening in front of me. Eventually, the goddess starts coercing Sora to kill Eris, using Chris as a hostage. That makes me angry. But I'm just a little happy that Sora is fighting to save me. I know it's selfish, but I really am happy. But at the same time, I don't want him to fight for the goddess. I like Chris. Honestly, I didn't really know how to talk to her at first, and there are times when I'm jealous too. When Sora talks about Chris and Rurika, it sounds like they had a lot of fun, and like he trusts them and thanks them from the bottom of his heart. I can't help but envy that. But at the same time, the more time we spend together, the more I like them too. There's also the fact that Chris and I like the same person. Sometimes she approaches Sora in a loving way, but she never takes that last step. She wanted to focus on the person she was looking for, Eris. I always admired that strong will. I just let fate take me where it wants, and keep relying on Sora. We've explored a dungeon together, traveled together, and I continued to be a slave. All because I just wanted to stay with him. That's why I was happy when he told me that freeing me as a slave in the Dragon Kingdom didn't mean that we had to say goodbye. And now, Chris is a hostage, and the goddess is trying to take away someone important to her. We can't let that happen, so please kill me. If you kill me right now, that might kill the goddess too. After all, Sora has a tool for that exact purpose. But my wish doesn't reach Sora, and he keeps fighting the demons. And Sora actually manages to slip past them, and tries to attack Eris. But Sora blocks him just in time. I'm relieved. Chris would be very sad if Sora hurt Eris, and I'm sure Sora himself would regret it too. For a moment, I wonder how Sora would feel if he killed me. But then I remember that he's the whole reason why I'm still alive anyway. And if ending my life also ends the sad history we saw in the ruins, I think it would be worth it. Of course, I wish I could stay with Sora, but I understand. Even if Eris is killed and the goddess leaves my body, that won't save me. That's just how strange my body feels right now. I don't know why exactly, but I just know that's the fate of people possessed by the goddess. But then, suddenly, there's a change. I can see it in Sora's eyes. It's a subtle change, but I can see it. Up until now, it felt like he was wavering, but now he's determined. Sora was pretending to be the demon's enemy, but in the end, he's fighting with them to kill the goddess. That dagger in his hand is the weapon to kill the goddess. That same dagger heads straight to me and stabs me. Just before it does, I feel thankful. I'm glad that this will end everything. This will save a lot of people. The moment the dagger stabs me, I hear a scream echoing in my mind. It's the goddess. And at the same time, I feel her flying from my body. But that's the last thing I feel. It's like time has stopped, and I can't think anything anymore. Walking in Another World, Chapter 350, Descent, Part 6. The moment I stab Elizabeth, Mia's body, with the god-killing dagger, I can tell something that's like a lump of magic energy is leaving her body. This makes Mia's body go limp, and I catch it as it falls. Looking at her face, it looks like she's sleeping, but she's completely still. She's not breathing and her heart isn't beating. There's just nothing. And when I cast appraisal, name, Mia, job race, human, level, 58, condition, time stop. It says, her condition doesn't tell me if she's dead or not. It even feels like if I took the dagger out and sprinkled a potion on the wound, she'd open her eyes. But this isn't just a simple dagger that's stabbed into her body. It didn't pierce her heart, but there's a very high chance that this is a fatal wound. At times like these, I wish I could see other people's HP, but that's beyond the capabilities of appraisal. Still, I can't deny how useful it is. I really should keep the dagger there until we have elixir. There's no room for error here. Damn you, damn you, damn you, damn you. A voice I hear from above interrupts my thoughts. I look up, and see what looks like mist gathering into the shape of a person. What appears is a faint, almost transparent woman. Her face is so beautiful that it completely captures my attention before I know it. But her eyes are painted with fury, and she's glaring this way with hatred. You're stubborn, but that won't be enough to kill me. I see her eyes turning, and her gaze turns to Ignis. He's completely composed, showing no exhaustion at all. It's like he wasn't fighting until a minute ago. Now, goddess. This time, you die. As I suspected, the apparition hanging in the air is Elizabeth. Does that mean that my attack flung her from Mia's body? That's reassuring, but it also worries me that she might jump into another body. If that happens, we can't repeat what we just did. At least I can't. And then, Ignis swings his sword against the apparition, I guess. Elizabeth dodges by taking a lot of distance from him, and looks around like she's panicked. Her eyes stop where Chris and the others are, and she literally flies towards them. Ignis also sees this and chases her, but Elizabeth starts firing magic. But apparently each shot is sapping away her energy, because she's slowing down. But still, the distance between her and Ignis is growing. The other demons move to block her way, but Elizabeth flings them away with magic. Apparently those shots aren't as strong as they look, so a direct hit doesn't cause too much damage, but they still manage to keep them away. All I can do is watch. I could chase her if I used transfer, but I'm scared of leaving Mia, and I've reached the point when I can't recover MP with potions. I'm gradually recovering thanks to natural recovery boost, but it's annoying how slow it is. Demon King, it's time to regret your foolish actions, says Elizabeth while laughing. Her body looks more transparent than before, but she's almost reaching Chris. Is she really trying to jump into Chris? Is that even possible? Everyone's imagining the worst case scenario, but that doesn't come to pass. I hear a bumping sound, and see Elizabeth flying in the opposite direction like she was flung away. Is it you're doing? Elizabeth yells with anger at Ooh. I can see the side of her face unsightly twisted. Exactly, and it ends here. An ominous dark mist flies out of Oo's body, and it heads straight to Elizabeth. Elizabeth hurries to turn away, but the dark mist chases and encircles her. And as the circle shrinks, she's buried in the mist. Don't think you can do this, and you won't get away with this. You won't. You won't. Elizabeth desperately tries to resist the black mist, but I can see her getting weaker. But when I look at you, who supposedly has the advantage, I see big beads of sweat on his forehead, and his hands gripping his staff tightly. His eyes are fixated on Elizabeth and the dark mist. No one else steps into this battle, and in the end, who comes out on top? Elizabeth screams as the dark mist crushes her, and when it clears, she is nowhere to be seen. Walking in Another World, Chapter 351, Door, Part 1. Did we do it? Unfortunately, defeating the possessed body really is not enough. We need to go after her real body, says Zu to Ignis. I'm sorry my lord, but can we? These are the coordinates, but it might put a big strain. No, I don't mind. This is what you already asked before. I really don't mind, but I can't hold it for long. Worst case scenario, you might not be able to return, says Eris, and the two demons nod with serious expressions. Very well, I will open it, but are you ready? Please wait a moment. Draken, stay and protect the Demon King. We are still under attack. Take the three other worlders to prison. And then, as we planned previously, half will go with me, and half will stay here to defend, says Ignis. Good. And if we don't return, Draken, you will become the center of the Demon King's support. Me? Not Guido? Guido is too impulsive. You are more qualified. And you are also prudent, unlike Ignis. Ignis then starts giving instructions, and the demons briskly move to fulfill them. Kotri looks worried about the three other worlders being taken away, but doesn't stop them. Where are you planning to go? I ask the two demons, with Mia in my arms, now that things have settled for the time being. The goddess dwelling, of course. We managed to mark her, so we can pursue her. And that is also how we know she has not been destroyed. There's a lot I want to say and ask, but can you beat her? Who knows? If we can make it so she can't meddle with us, that will be our victory in a way. Who raises his hand, and the holy sword on the ground files to him. Firstly, then he brings from the thin air a few bottles filled with something that looks poisonous, and pours it on the holy sword while whispering something. He repeats this a few times, turning the silver glowing blade jet black. Rather than waves of holy energy, the sword starts to pulsate with ominous feeling waves. I don't think anyone would believe this was a holy sword at this point. Here, use this, Ignis. My lord, we are ready. Then I will open it. Eris nods, and I feel immense magic energy gathering around her. This feeling is like when Chris uses spirit magic. It will take some time, so if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. I will answer if I can, says Zu, after peeking at Eris. There's a lot I want to ask, to the point where I'm not sure where to start. But I settle on one. You used me to kill Elizabeth, right? When did we get included in your plans? Yes, I wonder when, says Zu, before continuing. When we met in Majolica. That answer leaves me very confused. Majolica? Yes. Did something happen in Majolica? Well, a lot happened, but the biggest thing was the anomaly on the 28th floor, right? I couldn't make a cure there, and ended up going to the Dragon Kingdom because I heard there was a laurel tree there. Did you cause the anomaly in the dungeon? No. That was simply a coincidence. But I did use it to guide you to the Dragon Kingdom. Then does that mean what happened in the Dragon Kingdom was also related? And me receiving a fang from the Dragon King was also part of their plans? But it was a coincidence that we arrived in time for the final battle. If our timing was off, we might have gotten here after the battle was over. If they even managed to control that, I don't think there was any way to escape such a finely crafted plan. But I still can't bring myself to feel satisfied. My eyes drop to Mia in my arms. I know who's the real culprit, but I won't ask for your forgiveness. But we had our own circumstances. What we desired above anything else. And this time, we cut that bond. Whose words sound heavy, and his eyes are filled with unwavering determination. And it's not just two. Ignis and the other demons are the same. It's opening. As I stand here without saying a word, Eris speaks, and a large double door appears right in the middle of the throne room. One side slowly opens, creating a space just big enough for one person to pass at a time. The demons that were moving around busily all look surprised, and stop what they're doing. I'm sorry, but this door is the extent of my power. No, it will be enough, and I understand why you want to preserve magic energy. Ignis bows to Eris, tells the others to follow him, and disappears to the other side of the door with dozens of demons. What will you do, Sora? The moment he disappears, a voice echoes in my head. I have to go as well. Draken, I leave the rest to you. Who is the last to disappear? and the other demons continue their work. Walking in Another World, Chapter 352, Door, Part 2. Ignis disappears after walking through the door, along with other demons, and I look at it for a while. Apparently the door is connected to a different space. It's not like when we go to another floor in a dungeon. I can't see what's on the other side of the door at all. Are you alright? I hear Chris' voice, and when I turn around, I see Eris sitting on the throne. She looks really tired. She must have spent a lot of magic energy. I look at the door again, and then go to the others. Sora, says Rurika with a worried expression. I feel like she has more to say, but she stops after saying my name. She looks at Mia in my arms, and closes her eyes, looking sad. The same goes for Chris and Sarah. I walk past them and lay a thick sheet down near the throne, and lay Mia on it. Then I cast Appraisal again just to check, but it shows me the same as before, and the magic energy being released by the god-killing dagger is stable. Eris, can I ask something? What is it? Eris responds to me with heavy breaths, and I ask her to use the power of the time spirit to stop Mia's time, if the time-stopping magic just happens to stop working. She seems surprised that I know about time spirit magic, but when I tell her Ignis told me about it, she understands. Sora, what are you trying to do? Asks Chris with a worried tone, as I speak with her sister. It's about Mia, I say while looking at Mia, and then walk over to the still unconscious Mia and touch her. She hasn't woken up yet, but it looks like she just passed out, and Kotri has been looking after her. Thanks, Kotri. It's fine. It's all I can do. She says she was scared during the fight with Elizabeth, and all she could do was watch. Rurika and the others console her, saying the same goes for them too. Who knows what repercussions it would have if they stepped in, especially Rurika and Sarah, since Chris could have very well have become a target. They were wavering between that and their desire to protect Eris, and I'm sure hearing Yutaka's warning had an effect too. Still, that makes me even more thankful that Sarah responded when I called to her. Well, there's also the fact that if she didn't stop me, Eris' life would have been in danger. I put my hands on the Gillums, and retrieve the magic energy in their cores. I'm giving these to you. Can you summon the Gillums instead of me, Chris? Sure. But what are you doing? I hear that question again, and this time, I answer it. I'm going after Ignis. I really can't let Elizabeth get away with this. Although Ignis and the other demons might settle this on their own, maybe I'll just get in the way if I go. Not to mention that we'll be fighting in Elizabeth's home turf now. I think we put a lot of thought into fighting her here. And yet, it was so hard to defeat her in her temporary form. He said that maybe she can be defeated, but their number one goal is probably to make it so she can't mess with this world again. If she could come to this world at will, she probably wouldn't go out of her way to possess other people. And thinking about it that way, I'm sure there has to be conditions. I repair the broken mithril sword with creation, and sheathe it. It looks like Chris wants to say something, but she clenches her fists, and doesn't say anything. We look at each other for a bit, and then I hear a rustling sound. Hikari is awake. She looks around her, and when our eyes meet, she staggers her way over to me and hugs me. Master, Big Sister Mia, she asks while looking up at me, and I explain what I did. So we can save her? Yes, I'm sure we can. But something needs to be done before that. And then, I say I'm going after Ignis and the other demons, to the other side of the door. No, you can't go. But Hikari is against it. It's like when I told her we were going to undo her slave contract. She's holding on to my clothes like she's not letting me go anywhere. You can just leave it to the demons. But I have to see it with my own eyes. I can't forgive her for making Mia and Chris suffer. I get emotional at the end, because I remember what Yutaka said. Yes, if we're thinking about this logically, I could let them handle it. But I still want to do something. Not because I'm being manipulated, but out of my own free will. I want to see Elizabeth go down. But you might not come back, says Chris, and Hikari grabs my clothes even more strongly. Then I'm going, Hikari says. And so, I use my skill points to create an excuse. The skill points I've been saving all this time are gone in a flash. By using 11 skill points, I max out transfers level. Now I can move instantly somewhere else. But I need to have a magic item to serve as a mark. That means I can't just fly to Majolica, for example. I need to leave said magic item where I want to go in Majolica first. Anyway, I make that. And since I know alchemy, the magic item can take any shape I want. I feel like I give a lot of necklaces to people. With that thought in mind, I put the necklace I just made on Hikari's neck. I need this item to come back, so take good care of it, and look after Mia, I say while looking at Hikari in the eyes. Then I explain the transfer skill to everyone. Usually they look exasperated when they hear about an extraordinary skill, but the mood in the air supersedes that. Hikari trembles a little when she hears Mia's name, and after peeking over to her, she nods and lets go of me. I'm sorry Sarah, but if I don't come back, look for the elixir in my place. There is a good chance you will find it in a dungeon, but worst case scenario, ask Dan through your. I speak telepathically to Sarah, and explain what to do if I don't make it back. I'm choosing to tell her like this instead of speaking to avoid worrying Hikari even more. I'm sure she'd try to stop me again if she heard that. Finally, I hand an item bag with money to Ruruka, and go through the door, after the others. Walking in Another World, Chapter 353, Running Wild, Part 1, Chris point of view. I thought my travels would end when I found my big sister. We managed to reunite with Sarah in Majolica, so I figured all that was left was to find my sister, and go home. But that didn't come to pass. My big sister became the Demon King. I'm happy that I found her, but as I talked to her, I couldn't get what I learned in the ruins out of my mind. If she was going to survive, would we have to defeat everyone that was coming to kill her? I was happy, but every time I looked at her face, I felt like my heart was being clamped. And she said we should leave the castle, that it was dangerous. It would be one thing if I was alone, but there was also Ruruka and Sarah, and Sora and the others. I didn't want to involve them. But at the same time, I felt like if I left the Demon King's castle and went to the faraway town, I was never coming back. I talked to a demon in the castle, without making my intentions obvious, and was told that there is considerable distance between the castle and the town, and that it would be difficult to go through the dark forest by myself. I was also told that the demons use a special magic item, but the strongest ones just fly. In the end, we did as my sister said, and went back to the faraway town. We'll see each other again, said my sister. But it was a lie. She was forcing a smile just to reassure me. She didn't change a bit, always smiling like that to reassure her crybaby little sister. But when we were going back to the faraway town, Ignis handed me a magic item. When I was walking after the others, it was a magic item that allowed me to come and go from the Demon King's castle. Before I could ask why, he flew away. Sora said that I learned from interacting with many of them in the castle that they wanted to protect my sister, the Demon King. That feeling came through very clearly as we talked. Could it be that they were asking to save my sister, who had half given up on living? I woke up one day with a strange rumbling in my chest, and used the magic item to go to the Demon King's castle. I kept it a secret from Ruruka and the others because they were still sleeping, and a bunch of other reasons. When I moved to the castle, I heard the sound of something breaking far away, and when I fearfully peeked from behind a pillar, I saw demons fighting a lot of people. It was a heated battle, with both sides advancing and retreating. But what caught my attention was the entrance. It was destroyed in a big way, and wide open. My heart started pounding when I saw that. I raced through the halls, towards the throne room where I met my sister. I felt like that was where she was. I almost became a hostage when I got there, but the battle was ended by the overwhelming power of the demons. I felt relieved, but for some reason, my sister did not. Sora and the others came running afterwards, and Ruruka and Sarah looked mad. I'm sorry. I just apologized, and you couldn't help it, said Ruruka, while giving me a bump. But as we felt happy that everyone was all right, the situation was heading in a very bad direction. Mia's body was taken over by the goddess, and it appeared Sora was fighting the demons, obeying the goddess to save Mia. He managed to break through the demon's line and reach my sister, but Sarah blocked him. And in the meantime, all I could do was watch. The words of the goddess dominated my thoughts. The reason why my sister sent me away. Mia was involved again because I came here. This situation was wholly created because I decided to come here. And while I was stuck in this stupor, the battle ended, with Mia's death. I killed Mia. Sora should be sad, but he looked indifferent. He absorbed the magic energy from the golems, and gave them to me so I could infuse them with my own. I did as he said, and, "Please give us your instructions," were the words echoing in my head. I'm still not used to that. I told them to prioritize protecting my sister and Mia, and the two golems moved out. After seeing that, Sora said he couldn't forgive the goddess. He wanted to go with the demons to defeat her. Hikari was against it. But he promised to return. He said he would be fine thanks to a skill, but he did not sound so sure. Still, even if he might not make it back, his intentions didn't change. I couldn't tell him I would go too, or even good luck. It was like there was a wall between us, but it was really all about me feeling guilty. Sora then disappeared when he went through the door, and no one went after him. I watched the door for a while, and then, I heard a clinking sound, followed by the sound of something hitting the floor. Before I could turn around to see where it came from, Hikari suddenly yelled, grabbed her head, and crouched. Ruruka rushed to her side, but before she could reach her, Hikari got up, and turned my way. It was like my breath had been taken away. Her expression, her eyes, it was like life had left her. The next moment, her body vanished, and at the same time, I felt the golems being destroyed. I immediately followed the connection of the magic energy, and saw the two golems that were in front of my sister, guarding her, collapsing. Walking in Another World, Chapter 354, Running Wild, Part 2, Hikari's Point of View. When I woke up, Big Sister Mia was on the floor. I looked around, and saw fewer demons than before. Master said he was going to go through that door and go kill the goddess. I was against it, and said that if he was going, I was going too. But he said number. So I asked him not to go, but he went. He gave me a pendant, and said he was definitely going to come back, and that the pendant was a mark he needed to come back. And then, he asked me to look after Big Sister Mia. I really wish I had gone with him. I couldn't forgive the goddess for doing something so awful to her. Big Sister Mia is so nice. Not that everyone else isn't. But really, I felt anxious about Master leaving. I felt like how I felt when he said he was going to undo the slave contract. I kept looking at the door, even after he left. I wanted to go after him. I really did, but I couldn't step forward. I was scared of pushing it and making him mad at me. But then, it happened. There was a clinking sound, and the collar broke in two pieces. The pieces fell on the ground, and when I touched my neck, there was nothing there. My bond with Master broke. The moment I realized that, I felt something well up from deep inside me. It was something very dark, and it spread all over me. I yelled to try to get away from it, like I was trying to drive it away from my body. But it was no use. My consciousness was fading. No, I was conscious. It's just that my body was moving on its own. I locked onto my target, the Demon King. Killing it was my real duty. A voice in my head kept echoing, telling me to kill. A long time ago, in a time I'd rather not remember, I was created for that exact purpose. I gave my body orders not to do it, but it wasn't listening. It was like it wasn't even my body. The first attack was stopped by Big Sister Chris golems, but it didn't end there. Once the golems were out, my body moved again. This time, Big Sister Ruruka and Big Sister Sera appeared in front of me. At first I thought that was great, but then I noticed they didn't have the same edge as always. They were fighting while trying not to hurt me. That's no good. I whispered in my mind. I knew it. It was my body after all. I was going at it with full power and intending to kill. But they were holding back, and that difference was gradually having an effect. In particular, Big Sister Sera has high physical abilities, but the difference in how we handle our weapons was showing. She mainly uses axes, but she switched to a dagger because she couldn't be as flexible as she needed, and she was clearly not used to using daggers. I also think she did it because she figured she'd hurt me if she used axes. Small wounds began to pile up, and her movements became duller. That was probably not because of the paralysis effect, and more simply due to loss of blood. As we fought, some of the remaining demons stepped in to stop me. They were stronger than the ones outside, but they were no match for me in that state. They probably didn't have good resistance to paralysis either, because its effect started showing right away. Although some managed to resist it. In the end, there were 20 people in front of me, including Big Sister Ruruka and Big Sister Sera. There were also the Demon King, Big Sister Chris, and Kotri. And the golems, but they weren't a threat. No. The same went for the Demon King and the others. I didn't know what would happen if they fired magic, but they probably wouldn't be a threat. My body stepped forward, and Big Sister Chris gripped her staff tightly. I yelled no inside me. My body would remove anything in its path. Everything in the way of it killing the Demon King. That meant that if Big Sister Chris moved in to defend the Demon King, my body would remove her without a doubt. But she used magic. It wasn't really magic meant to hurt, but to restrain her opponent. Usually it would be very useful, but it didn't work on me. My body avoided it, and moved towards her, regardless of what I actually wanted. And just as I was about to attack her, another attack came my way, from the Demon King. That changed my target. My main target was the Demon King anyway, so it made sense that it took precedence. The Demon King was using magic I had never seen before, but my body dodged it on its own. And without a single wasted movement, it closed the distance to the Demon King. I felt magic energy building up behind me, and threw a knife to disturb it. There was an explosion, but I didn't turn around to look. I was already near the Demon King. I infused my mithril dagger with magic energy to kill the Demon King with my most powerful attack. But the moment I tried to stab the Demon King, two things happened. First, the magic energy I infused into the dagger suddenly disappeared. Second, the Demon King was suddenly thrown away from the throne, and the tip of my dagger stabbed Koteri's flank. I immediately looked towards my target, and tried to pull the dagger out. But I couldn't. Koteri was holding me, like she was telling me she wasn't going to let me go. She put her arms around me and held me tightly, and I felt the warmth coming from her body. "It's all right. He'll be back soon." "You're lonely, aren't you?" "I'm here for you." Koteri said all sorts of things, and strangely enough, they resonated with me. Even though Master wasn't saying them, there was something about them that made me feel relieved. Was it because she's from the same world as Master? I didn't know if that was the answer, but Koteri's kind words pulled up my will, that was being pushed down. The dark something permeating through my body was going away, and I was able to move my body. I held Koteri, and couldn't stop crying. I cried loudly. "Thank goodness, you're back to being Hikari," said Koteri, sounding happy. But at the same time, I stopped feeling her arms around me. I turned to look, and saw her arms dangling limply, and Koteri in pain. Our eyes met, and "It hurts," she said, not trying to put up a brave front. I quickly pulled the dagger back, and sprinkled a potion. It was a special potion made by Master, but the wound wasn't closing. I had her drink it, but it still wasn't having an effect. "That's awful, Hikari. But apparently potions don't work too well on my body," Koteri said with tears in her eyes. I panicked when I heard that. There was no one there who could use holy magic. Big Sister Chris approached us, and covered the wound with a cloth. The cloth immediately turned red. "I'm sure it will be all right," said Big Sister Chris to console me, but Koteri's condition was getting worse. Koteri looked at me and smiled, as if trying to make me feel better. But then, her body was covered in white light, and the wound was healed. I was wondering what happened, so I turned around, and saw the Dragon King. "Surely that will do it," was all he said, and after exchanging some words with Big Sister Eris, he also went through the door and disappeared. "Are you all right, Hikari?" Koteri asked as she hugged me again. I nodded, and asked her how she was. "Perfectly fine," she said. Her smile was bright. She wasn't like Master, but it was like I was seeing him. I whispered thank you, as if saying it to no one in particular. I was kind of embarrassed to say it directly. And then, Big Sister Urika and Big Sister Sarah approached me too, looking worried. I did something awful, but no one chastised me for it. That was the first time I realized that even if Master wasn't around, I had a place where I belonged. And so, I swore to protect Big Sister Mia until he returned. Walking in Another World, Chapter 355, Divine Realm, Part 1. Once I go through the door, I see you. "Oh, so you came, young man?" He looks a little taken aback. "But what are you doing? Where are the others?" I ask as I look around. I don't know what this place is, but what I see feels like a quiet grassy field. Once I use presence detection, I sense presences in all directions. I guess they're from the demons who went on ahead. They are scouting our surroundings. We don't know where Elizabeth is. "What about you?" "All right, I get Ignis and the others, but who is crouching and writing something on the ground?" "I am erecting a barrier that won't let Elizabeth pass. If she happened to pass here and go to our world, that would be big trouble. Although whether or not it can block her, and whether she can go are different issues." "Who is right? Elizabeth fought through Mia, but we should assume that she's stronger in her real body. If she appeared in front of Eris like that, it would be hard to protect her, especially considering that the demon's main force is here. And just the thought of her rampaging over there makes me shudder. She'll probably bury my friends along with the others too, especially considering how she was like at the end. We have things more or less figured out over here." "How is it going there?" "Yes, No problems here. I would rather destroy it, but I don't want to risk affecting the Demon King. Then we should head out. Sora, if you're here, can I assume you made up your mind? Asks Ignis, and I nod. I'm ready. My goal is to erase Elizabeth's existence, and failing that, make sure she can't mess with that world. In my head, gods are undying beings, so it will probably be the latter. What do you intend to do about Elizabeth, Ignis? It would be best to kill her. But are the minimum conditions met? Yes, if it is as I think. But we don't know if there is a substitute in that world, so destruction would be best. What do you mean minimum conditions? The sword Ignis is holding. She uses it as a mark to descend. Its attribute has been flipped, so if she is cut with it, it should have a tremendous effect. If Wu is right, they eliminated the mark Elizabeth used to descend on that world. But she has been messing with other people and controlling fate itself. It can't be that simple. That's why they are out to kill her. To finish it here. I actually feel an ominous energy from the weapons the demons are holding. I think they're all infused with the dark attribute. If you have weapons to kill the goddess, why didn't you use them there? I ask what's on my mind. She was just possessing someone then. We could have used their effects there, but the burden on that girl would have been severe. So you refrained from using them for Mia's sake? Not exactly. We had a magic item to inhibit her movements there. That won't work here. That is why we wanted to only show our hand here, says Zu. But I feel like he was actually looking out for Mia. That was probably why he told me to create the god-killing weapon when I first got to the Demon King's castle too. Am I being too optimistic? Ignis manipulated me plenty, but for some reason, I find myself seeing Wu that way. Is it because he gave me the Wyvern magic stone for free when I made the god-killing dagger? Is it that simple? I guess he also looks like a kind old man. Don't let looks deceive you. Wu is more wicked than me, says Ignis. Probably because he knows what I'm thinking. Is he jealous? Actually, the other demons who heard him seem to agree. So, don't let myself be deceived by appearances. Wu has been alive for longer than us. Apparently that part of his appearance is correct. And it sounds like he's much older than them too. How long has he been alive? I ask out of curiosity. I wonder. He responds while tilting his head. It sounds like he actually doesn't know. We chat like this as we walk, but as we get closer to our destination, we gradually become quiet. At first this place felt like a grassy field, but suddenly there is a stone-paved road, and what looks like a temple. My immediate reaction is that it reminds me of the Parthenon. Well then, we don't know what awaits us. Let us brace ourselves as we go. The demons ready themselves to use their weapons at a moment's notice, and enter the building with nervous expressions. I also draw my mithril sword, and enter the temple last, along with Wu. Walking in Another World. Chapter 356, Divine Realm, Part 2. I hear footsteps echoing. I couldn't imagine what the interior would look like when I looked at this temple from the outside. It's actually one simple path, but that path is decorated with portraits at regular intervals. They all depict different things, but one in particular draws my eyes. It looks like I see a painting of a dragon that looks just like the Dragon King in his dragon form. Then again, it's not like I've ever seen any other dragons. Wu is standing in front of a different painting. Actually, it's not just Wu, the other demons too. But the other demons seem perplexed, with some even crying. What is that painting? You boorish people. I was not expecting you to come this far. But then, I feel a different presence in the temple's path. No, is this anger? I feel pressure pushing down on my body, like when I use Intimidate. I almost kneel without thinking, as that scrapes away my HP. Even though I'm just standing here, I need to brace myself. I put strength into my stomach, bear with it, and take a step forward. Then another, and strangely enough, the pressure is disappearing. I pass by many kneeling demons, and quickly throw multiple magic-infused knives to the other side of the passage. With the replication skill, the knives explode on the other side, and the pressure is gone. I'm surprised you could move so easily in the middle of that, says Ignis with a clear expression. Now that I think about it, when the other demons were kneeling, it felt like Ignis and others were about to do something. Let's keep going before the goddess does something. But we are in her domain, so be very careful, Ignis says as he takes the lead and continues walking through the passage. Other demons follow, and as before, I'm in the rear with Wu, and in a wide open area, we find Elizabeth. She's glaring at us with a displeased expression. It's like we rudely barged into her home. I casually look around, and don't see any traces of the explosions from before. The floor and walls don't have a scratch on them. I look at Elizabeth again, and see what looks like a big transparent box behind her. That box has things of many shapes and colors inside, and it's like they're floating. Is that like a water tank? But what interests me the most is that I sense what feels like magic energy from each thing. There are things of all sizes, and I can see them moving to another box through a tube from time to time. How stubborn. I don't know how you made it here, but it's fine. I will end you here. How unfortunate. Especially that. Elizabeth stops, and looks at Ignis, and then at you. Such nice toys will be broken here, she says, and several demons attack. Elizabeth isn't really holding weapons. But even though it looked like she was caught off guard, the demons raising their swords stop about a meter away from her, with their swords still in the air. They're like butterflies caught in spider web. You fools don't know where you are. Die. Elizabeth raises her hand, and the demons look like they're struggling. I throw a knife at her to help them, and other demons fire magic, but it's like it's all blocked by a shield. No use, she declares loudly. But when it looks like she's about to deliver the killing blow, Ignis swings his sword. A dark shadow stretches from the tip of the magic sword, and it attacks Elizabeth like it's alive. It really is the flipped version of the holy sword, and it's heading to attack Elizabeth. Elizabeth calls forth a weapon of light, a spear, and swings it at the shadow. Light and shadow clash fiercely, and after a while, both vanish. In the meantime, the demons that were caught are able to escape with the help of the others. This really is an environment that works in her favor. Who is about to activate magic, and frowns. Or it might be the opposite. An environment that is disadvantageous to us. The demon's attribute is the exact opposite of Elizabeth's, so is it hard for them to bring out their full power here? Then well, at least I don't see any debuffs in my status panel. Then again, who knows if that sort of thing would be displayed. But my body doesn't feel heavy or anything, and I don't feel anything wrong with me, so I'm pretty sure I'm unaffected. So I'm in good form. But I'm sure Elizabeth won't fight the same way here as she did over there, so I need to be careful. I especially need to see just how different she is. I can't tell from this back and forth alone. Would it be best to cross swords with her and check? I grip my sword tighter, and take a step forward, along with the demons, toward Elizabeth. Walking in Another World. Chapter 357, Divine Realm, Part 3. I feel like Elizabeth is about 4 times stronger than before. I can't really quantify it, but let's just say she's strong. We're also attacking, with Ignis serving as the linchpin, but all the demons' attacks are easily dealt with, except Ignis and Ooze. It looks like they're using weapons with the dark attribute, but I think they can't really make it work because the difference in their physical abilities is just too big. I really think we are at a disadvantage in this place, says Zoot, but he doesn't appear to be struggling. Do they have more trump cards? Just as I'm thinking that, they attack again. But there's a sudden change in the demons' movements. They split into 2 groups. One group is led by Ignis, and keeps going to attack Elizabeth. The other is led by you, and spreads out in all directions. Elizabeth seems confused for a moment, but then seems to realize something, and moves to try to attack the demons that pulled away. But Ignis' group stops her. Are you scheming again? Elizabeth speaks to Ignis like she wants him to know she saw through him, but she sounds less composed than before. Maybe she remembered being troubled in the world we came from. More importantly, the demons spreading in all directions probably reminded her of the techniques used there. And it's not like Hu and Ignis would come here without a plan. Then I just have to trust them, and buy them time. I feel like the delaying magic of space-time magic would be the most effective. But it feels like when I get close, she sees it and backs away. Maybe she's wary of it because I've shown it once, and she experienced it. I think her being wary of me is effective for us. But I'm also worried that it might be a trap. It's confusing me how she keeps peeking this way like she's provoking me. Maybe the fact that she can still do that shows the difference between her and us right now. There's also the fact that we have less people attacking now. I attack mostly with magic and knives, and leave the close-range attacks to the demons. There's the fact that Elizabeth is using a spear and keeping some distance, and also that most of the demons prefer to fight at close range. There really isn't any space for me to go forward. The balance is too bad. There are also demons like Ignis, who can pretty much fight in any way, but they're in the minority here. How annoying. Yes, let us do an interesting sideshow. After a while, Elizabeth whispers all of a sudden, and then, She counters an attack by the demons by touching their bodies with her hands, and the demons shake like they were electrocuted, and fall limp. They quickly get back up, but they turn around and come to attack us. What happened? They quickly move to deal with the attacking demons, but they seem as surprised as me. I'm also attacked, but I block with my sword. When I look at one of the demons closely, it's like his eyes are unfocused. The slashes feel heavy and fast, and like they'll cut me apart if I'm not careful. But their robotic movements are easy to read. Probably because they're unconscious. It might have been dangerous otherwise. It's not like we're not struggling in the first place. I keep blocking, and use parallel thinking to cast appraisal on one of the demons. Name, Windsor. Job, Elite Guard. Level, 101. Race, Demon. Condition, Puppet. So the condition says Puppet. And the job is Elite Guard. Well, I don't know how the job is decided anyway, so there's no point in thinking about it. It doesn't even matter. Would recovery work on a status ailment like with the bandits in the Dragon Kingdom? I touch the demon, Windsor, and cast recovery. I definitely feel something, and I see light return to his eyes. Did it work? Right after I ask myself that, the light vanishes, and he attacks again. I cast it again, this time paying attention to his status using appraisal. It changes to apostrophe, but then goes right back to puppet. My holy magic is level 8 right now. It's kind of high, but I didn't really use it all that much because Mia was with us. Still, if it lifted the status ailment temporarily, it does have an effect. If it comes back, is it because Elizabeth is doing something? Maybe we can't free them until she's down. As for the power of the magic itself, if we use offensive magic as an example, if I keep using it, I learn more powerful spells, or the skill of the level goes up. For example, the fire magic spell Fire Arrow is stronger when my fire magic skill is at level 5 than at level 1. Of course, there's also the fact that my stats improve as the walking skill levels up, but leveling up specific skills definitely makes a difference. That means that if I level up holy magic, I might be able to lift that status ailment. If I use that spell Mia used to crack the slave mask, then something pops into my mind. My holy magic is at level 8, but I haven't used it a lot. I can't use support spells like the protection spell Mia used in the dungeon. I don't know how to use them. Then Mia, maybe the saint and someone like me can't use the same spells. I look around, and see the battle is getting worse for us. More demons are attacking U and the others, and whatever they're doing is getting delayed. I see some on the ground already, although I can't tell if they're the ones being controlled by Elizabeth or not. Do we have no choice but to kill them? Is there still a way? I try to think of something as I fight Windsor. Walking in Another World, Chapter 358. Recovery LV2. One method I can try pops into my mind. Normally this would just end with the same effect being activated twice, but what if I use them at the exact same time? Up until now, when I used parallel thinking, it's either been to use two different spells, or the same spell on different targets. But what if I use the same spell on the same target, at the exact same time? I flick Windsor's weapon away to create an opening, get near him, and chant my spell, Recovery. I feel like it had an effect, and sure enough, once I look up, I see the light is back in his eyes. Where? He whispers, but just as I'm about to ask if he's back to normal, I notice something isn't right. The effect lasts longer than before, but his expression falls again. And when I cast appraisal, it shows me the puppet status again. What are you doing? Bring him down quickly. A voice echoes inside my head. This is Ignis. I'm trying to remove the puppet status effect. It's a waste of time. If you have time to do that, bring him down and go support you and the others. Ignis' cold way of speaking kind of annoys me. Isn't he one of yours? And we all have the same goals. If I get in their way, don't hesitate to kill me. I don't have anything to say to that. Goals: protect the Demon King and kill the goddess. So he's willing to give his life to that? But I guess I'm not close to the demon in front of me. I don't even know Windsor. I wouldn't have even known his name if I didn't cast appraisal. But at the same time, I can't abandon someone standing by my side, fighting for the same goal. So even though every second counts, I start thinking again. Using the same spell twice at the same time did have an effect, but their result is what's in front of me. I keep thinking as hard as I can while dealing with Windsor's attacks. What if I could combine magic too, like when I created the full potion? Alchemy probably won't do, but what about creation? but I'm pretty sure creation is just about creating equipment and the magic items. So, is there a skill that lets me make magic? Yes. It doesn't let me create new magic, but it does let me combine spells. New. Combine LV1. The effect is simple. It combines multiple things, and it doesn't really seem to have any conditions attached. But now that I've learned it, I realize something. Does combining multiple things mean it lets me combine the same thing multiple times? Good, it does. But when it comes to magic, I can't use it without also using parallel thinking. I cast recovery twice, but hold them instead of releasing them. Then I combine them with the combine skill. A new spell pops up in my head, and I use it on Windsor. Recovery. It's still called recovery, but the result is very different. Before, the puppet effect came back right away, but it's been over a minute, and it still hasn't come back. And actually, the name of a new spell I learned, or I guess made, is Recovery LV2. LV2? I think I've seen that before. But let's leave that aside for now. Let's use it on the other demons with that status effect. They're spread all over, so it would take too long to go to each one individually. So I attach the Recovery LV2 effect on non-lethal rubber bullets, and start firing. Since they're far away, I use transfer at the same time as I fire them, to make it so they hit right after. Once the bullets hit, recovery is activated, and the status effects are removed. What are you doing? Of course, Elizabeth notices what I'm doing, and turns her attacks to me. But the other demons, starting with Ignis, stop her. Actually, they're using the fact that she's distracted to attack, and since she can't ignore that either, she's forced to deal with them. I try to use that opportunity to heal the downed demons, but more than half have drawn their last breath. Among them, some were killed by the ones with the puppet status. I clench my fists. I don't have time to lament. I have things to do. I attach the Recovery LV2 effect on more bullets to counter the puppet status, and drink a mana and a stamina potion. That spell is effective, but it comes with MP consumption to match. It feels like a high-level spell, so I guess it makes sense. And apparently I can't use regular recovery anymore. I should probably think before using combine going forward. But first, we need to finish this fight. The demons afflicted with the puppet status and the hurt demons are now back to the front line, and Elizabeth is fully on the defensive. And then, we are ready. Let us finish this. Ooh declares loudly, and the magic items on the four corners of the room are activated. Walking in Another World, Chapter 359, Divine Realm, Part 4. I feel magic energy swelling, and the magic item is activated. The flow of magic energy I felt in the throne room is filling the temple. But Elizabeth is smiling. I feel danger on an instinctual level, but before I can urge the others to be careful, it happens. The quality of the magic energy changes, and creates an impact like an explosion. I close my eyes automatically, and hear yells all over the place. Once I slowly open my eyes, I see about 80% of the demons on the floor, and my body shivers. Some of them received fatal damage. Fufafu, one who knows very little, repeats it. Did you think that would work on me again? Elizabeth says with a scornful laugh. How about we end this? As you can see, I'm busy. I have a demon king to kill, and a lot to do after that. She looks around, and her eyes meet mine. Oh right, there is another worlder here. But if I tell them of your death, your friends will regret it. Defying a goddess, that is, she says, sounding happy, like she just found one more thing to look forward to, and after bothering me so much, I will make her the next demon king. The current demon king's little sister. I clench my fists tightly, but exhale deeply. I can't let my emotions carry me. If I react, I'll just make her happy. That woman messes with people's hearts using words, and corners them. It's like a sort of weapon to guide the others' movements. If I let anger lead me to move in a simple way, it just plays to her advantage. And so, I tell myself I need to control my emotions and stay cool. Oh? How patient. Is it because you're special? Regardless, I will dispose of you along with the demons, she says as she decapitates a nearby demon. The demon's corpse turns to dust, and part of what feels like a remnant of magic energy disappears into the transparent box. The other part is sucked into Ignis' sword. Elizabeth continues, cutting corpses too, and absorbing remnants of magic energy every time. Ignis, and the other surviving demons fight back, but aren't a match for her. and are blown back. And Elizabeth continues cutting the weakened demons and the corpses. I try to fight up close to stop her too, but her spear won't let me. So I try to approach the demons to heal them, but she won't let me do that either. Now, your friends are dying one after the other. It really does sound like she's having fun. But that continues only until 70% of the demons are dead. It looks like she's feeling something is wrong, and when she crosses swords with Ignis, she frowns. What did you do? What do you mean? Playing dumb, are we? Then I will make sure with this. Elizabeth hits Ignis with all she has, but he stops the attack without being flung back. And then, Windsor and the others attack. Elizabeth can't handle it and starts moving back, as wounds start piling up on her limbs. But they just look like scratches, and are healed pretty quickly. No, surprisingly, that's not happening. And even though Ignis and the others were being overpowered this whole time, they are now fighting Elizabeth on equal terms. I see, whispers Elizabeth after disposing of another corpse. Sacrificing comrades to increase your power. How awful. Ignis and the others don't respond, and keep swinging their swords and using magic. But I stop when I hear that, and use telepathy to talk to Ignis. What does she mean by sacrifice? It's what it sounds. We have made it so if our power is reduced and the goddess kills us, that power will be transferred to those of us that remain. So you fought with the assumption that you'd die? What are you mad about? We were ready for that before we came here, says Ignis plainly, in response to my anger. So, the same as before. Thinking back, I came here ready to kill the goddess, but allies. I wasn't ready to see acquaintances die. Young man, are you alright? Yes, are you? I turn around, and see his clothes are ripped in places, and I see traces of wounds on his exposed arm. Are you talking with Ignis again? Yes, I understand that what we do is incomprehensible to you. It looks like suicide. But we don't die when we die, and live for too long. And during that long life, we see friends, important people die. That is why everyone feels so strongly about settling things here, now that we have the chance. Does the same go for you? Unlike Ignis, I feel a real weight behind U's words. Is that because of his way of speaking? That also goes for me. If I can make that disappear, I will. I am saying all is fine, as long as she cannot descend on that world anymore. U says, as he looks at me with a firm expression. So, I'm sorry, but can you help us? That's why I came here, but can I? Honestly, I can't participate in this battle at all. I can't get past the spear to get close, and her power is just too great. All I can do is heal and support. Then break that. It seems to be the source of the goddess power, says Zhu while pointing at the transparent box. Yes, it does look suspicious. But is something that stands out so much really her weak point? If all there is to it is to attack it, I can do that. And with questions in my mind, I do as Zhu says and attack it. Walking in Another World, Chapter 360, Divine Realm, Part 5. I need strong magic, so I combine Firestorm and Stone Shower. I'm just picking those because both fire magic and earth magic are at level 10, but the result is a spell called Meteor. I don't know how that happened, but it looks strong, so I'm using it. Some of the demons, including U, are also going to attack. Are you ready? Asks U, and everyone, including me, nods. U raises his staff, which serves as the signal. Fire Lance, Meteor, Thunderstorm, Dark Fire. After the signal, names of spells fly all over. Everything is activated at once, and rushes towards the box. But just as I'm worried, thinking if they'll reach it, the spells disappear one after the other. Some look like they're hitting a barrier, and I see intense sparks flying around. But they can't break through, and explode. The intense vibrations make Elizabeth stumble, but she manages to hold on. It appears to absorb weak magic, or maybe it becomes energy for the barrier. Only you, young man, and prepare magic again. The others, remain vigilant, or support Ignis. Before it can finish, we're hit with a magic attack from Elizabeth. The demons, who haven't yet started to prepare an attack, put up magic energy shields, and block it. As Elizabeth sees this, she tries to come this way, but Ignis and the others stop her. Second volley, signals Zhu, and this time, 4 people fire magic, including me. But again, it hits the barrier, and doesn't break through. But unlike the first time, did the barrier crack? Elizabeth looks impatient when she sees it. Keep the pressure up. Before he lets those words out, Magic is already being fired. And then, we hear the sound of the barrier shattering. Focus your attacks. Now the demons that were watching our surroundings are firing magic too. No one hesitates to follow U's sudden command, and magic is swiftly fired. We can do it. But just after I think that, I feel powerful magic energy activating just before our magic can reach. It's the barrier being constructed again. The barrier that was supposed to be gone came back right in front of our eyes. It's even visible to the naked eye. And I also definitely feel the fluctuation of magic energy coming from that transparent box. Who is right? The magic energy stored in that box is doing something. I'm sure it's also the reason for Elizabeth's super fast recovery. I look at Elizabeth, and she seems to be enjoying our dumbfounded expressions. Did she do that on purpose, despite being able to block our magic all along? I thought Ignis and the others had the momentum on their side, but they're slowly being pushed back. I think the battle being prolonged is having an effect on their stamina. Elizabeth, on the other hand, shows no signs at all of being tired. How unfortunate, isn't it? Did you think that would beat me? Elizabeth has a very unconcerned expression on her face, and with a swing of her spear, flings away Ignis and the other demons surrounding her, while looking triumphantly at this tired side. We're out of options. That's what the air of despair around me feels like. U is trembling too, but doesn't say anything. He's just looking at that film barrier. But why did Elizabeth purposefully make that barrier visible? To make the difference in our power more apparent? To enjoy our reactions as we lose hope? There's one thing that sticks out to me, and that's that impatient expression she showed earlier. I don't think she was acting. If she was, she's a fantastic actress. And when I felt that fluctuation of magic energy, the things in that box did decrease. When it's all gone, it's over for Elizabeth. There's no doubt that she has a considerable stock. And it didn't go down that much when she rebuilt the barrier. But what if we hurt her directly? No, I can't cut her with my sword. If only she was using a sword and not a spear. But if that's the case, can't I just switch weapons? A weapon I can use without getting in range of the spear isn't the one that saved me on multiple occasions. I take out a gun from my item box, and formulate a strategy. First, I check if I can use replication on it, and once I'm done, I replicate mithril in my hand so Elizabeth can't see it. Then I work them into bullets. It's all going without a hitch, although I can't maintain them for long. And it being what it is, spends a lot of MP to replicate. But I think this will work, so I use telepathy. I have a plan. Sorry, but attract Elizabeth's attention. Ignis hears my telepathic message, and quietly moves out again.